Hey YouTube people. Oh, did I scare you? I am going to do week 2 of the YouTube Pagan Challenge, which is, are you in or out of the broom closet? I am out of the broom closet, and I have been since 1999. But for me, the moment of my coming out was when I told my grandmother, because that was the scary monster I had to face in terms of that. It's like, if I could tell her, I can tell anybody. And it was every bit as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be, and the response was about as positive as I imagined it would be. But it wasn't like I told Grandma and then I started shouting it from the rooftop. I didn't even get my first pinnacle until I was 14, which was 3.5 years after I became a witch, because I wore this little sun and moon necklace to kind of symbolize the goddess and God, but and to start out with, it was because I was still going to school until I was 13, and even though my friends, the last year that I was in school, my friends who would ask me, whatever about religion, I would tell them, but it still wasn't something, again, that I went like shouting it down the halls or anything like that. And I always needed, or felt like I needed, that level of deniability in case any shit was ever started legally. Because again, we're talking late 90s, early 2000s. That was not unheard of. It was not something that absolutely could not happen for children's services to get involved over something like that. So, I didn't feel comfortable wearing my pinnacle until after I left school. And then, I don't know, I got my first one as a Yule present, and I've worn one ever since then, but I still have situations where I tuck my pinnacle in. I'm not gonna lie about that. When I first met my boyfriend's family, the side of his family that I didn't grow up with, because I grew up with his dad's side of the family, but when I first went to, the first time I ever met them was at his family Thanksgiving in a church. Yeah. And I knew that I was going to be meeting these, church-going people and older people, especially his grandparents. His grandparents are like a decade older than mine, so, I tucked that pinnacle in. I'm not going to lie about that. I don't even think his mom knew anything about my religion until we became Facebook friends after I found out her gender. So we've been together 2.5 years. She's known, I don't even know if she's ever read my About Me section. Maybe she don't know. Oh yeah, she does know, because she's seen comments and shit like that. But as far as social media goes, I was absolutely terrified the first time I put anything on MySpace about being pagan. And I was already 19 when I got a MySpace, so, it was like, I was legal. It was just the fact that I came up in a time when not very many people talked about it. You didn't, you just didn't talk about it like that. And it seemed like such a big step, such a big deal to, put right there on my main page stuff about being a witch. I think the first thing I put up was this really pretty pinnacle made of brooms, and I sat there for a good 20 minutes or so debating on whether or not to do that. It was pretty much the same way with Facebook. At first I didn't talk about it very much at all, and then I grew more and more comfortable, and I got turned on to the groups that are all over Facebook and that sort of thing. YouTube, I probably wouldn't have done videos about it when I first joined YouTube in 2007, late 2006, early 2007, somewhere in there. Yeah, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have had the oomph, the balls, the whatever, to do it. So that's another thing that kind of came later. So when I say that I'm out of the broom closet, I mean if anybody were to come up and ask me, are you a witch? I would say yes, I am. Now, like I said, I'm a lot more out there than I've ever been at any other point in my life. But it's still not something that I wear on my sleeve or, go shouting to people or whatever. If you saw me in the grocery store, unless you noticed my pinnacle, you wouldn't know that I was a witch. But at the same time, if you did see my pinnacle and you were like, hey, are you a witch? I'd be like, yes, I am. So it wasn't, coming out of the broom closet for me was a series of steps that took years to get through. And, yeah. And to some people, like the in-laws, I'm still not totally out. No, if they were to ask me, I'd tell them the truth and then wait for their heart attacks. But my boyfriend Tony, he's not Christian. He's studied Kabbalah here and there, but I don't know how much his family knew about that at all. I know his younger brother has dabbled with magic. I don't know how far that's gone for him, but they're the only members of the family like that at all. Like, he grew up in a Southern Baptist church, and most of his family still goes there, and all that goodness. But, yeah, if they asked, I'd tell them. That's kind of my out-of-the-closet policy in general. If you ask, I'll tell you. So, that's mine. As elaborate a response as I could possibly give to that question. Yeah. Let's it be.